Hello, I am Jamie Buckland with the West Virginia Pew Families United for Education. We just walked out of the state capitol here in Charleston. We were here all day for homeschool day at the Capitol, and I wanted to give you guys a couple of things, a legislative update, because there are a number of bills that we are paying attention to that could impact your families, your school age children. Also, a development with the Hope Scholarship that is new as of yesterday, and a new announcement for the West Virginia Pew that could impact many of your families if you have any Hope Scholars who are looking to satisfy this year's assessment using a standardized test that you can pay for with your Hope money. So, I'm going to start out talking about a couple different bills. I do want to just mention, though, I've got a newsletter that we're working to get out by the end of today. And if you're not already subscribed to our newsletter, and then during the session, I try to do some timely updates. If you're not already subscribed, we'll put the link in the comments here for a quick form for you to complete so that you can get added to our email list to make sure that you get this information that again could impact your family. So let's go through a couple of bill numbers that you're possibly going to want to pay attention to. First up, we've got a Hope cleanup bill from the House and one from the Senate. Delegate Espinoza's bill is House Bill 4945, and it does a couple things. One important thing that it would do is clean up this confusion surrounding science and social studies for our year-end assessments and that not being offered, especially on kindergarten standardized test. Does some other things as well, but I'm not going to go into every single bill thoroughly. That's what the newsletter and updates will be for. But the bill that from the Senate, from Senator Rucker, the chair of the school choice committee from the Senate side, Senate Bill 598, just introduced yesterday, could potentially do a number of things to really improve and address concerns with the Hope Scholarship program. So those are two that you'll want to keep an eye on. Again, House Bill 4945 from Delegate Espinoza, Senate Bill 598 from Senator Rucker, both pertaining to a Hope Scholarship general cleanup bill. And then two bills that are interesting that I don't think will actually go anywhere, but that if you are an out-of-state school or if you are a family using your Hope Scholars on services or schools that are outside of the state of West Virginia, you may want to pay attention to these. House Bill 5329 and Senate Bill 327, which both would address, they would basically limit the usage of Hope dollars outside of the state of West Virginia. I just have one question, and that is for the public education system. How much money does the Department of Education or public school system spend on out-of-state providers? If we think about curriculum, virtual programs, all of the things that the system needs in order to serve children in the public school system, what if they were only limited to spending money with entities that are inside the state of West Virginia? Again, pertaining to Hope Scholarship is House Bill 5346, introduced by Delegate Burkhammer, Adam Burkhammer, who's a true champion for families who are practicing school choice. And it is an introduction of a bill that we worked on last year. I'm a fan of this because I helped write the language, but what it would do is actually remove the Hope Scholarship as being its own exemption and would make it instead a funding mechanism that could then be used with any of the other exemptions, private school, micro school, but it could not be used for traditional homeschooling. The language would set apart traditional homeschooling even more because, as a veteran home educator, having done that for years, I want to ensure that the work that we do is completely separate from traditional homeschooling. So that is 5346. We'll see what happens with all of those bills over the next couple of weeks and see how far they make it. Espinoza's bill 4945 was on the Education Committee agenda earlier this week and got sent to finance. If it makes it out of finance, then it'll go on to the House floor to be possibly put on the agenda. House Bill 5189 sponsored by Delegate Kraus, is a tax credit, a one-time tax credit, well, annually, that a family, if you've got a homeschooling family or a private school family that's currently not eligible for Hope Scholarship, they would be able to take this one-time credit with an equal amount to the Hope Scholarship amount. So if you're a homeschooling family, private school family, you could have a tax credit that would reduce your personal income tax liability of roughly $4,400. One thing to mention with that, something very similar did pass in Oklahoma last year. And as families, our job here is to make sure that you are aware of all of the things. I will just say in Oklahoma, a tax rebate like this, a tax credit did pass. And now this year, what has been introduced is that those homeschoolers who participated can now be subject to standardized testing. So we want to ensure that you're aware of what you're taking part in and what you're signing up for at all costs. And then lastly, 4896 is an SSAC bill. Again, I don't think this one will go anywhere, but it is basically a move to repeal the transfer rule that was passed last year in House Bill 2820 that allows high school student athletes to choose and transfer in ninth, 10th, 11th, or 12th outside of their attendance area one time without facing a penalty. There are a couple of different bills that would remove homeschool assessments, so that mandatory reporting of the year-end assessments, and we'll see what happens with those. And then there are also a couple of bills that have been introduced to try to open up the Hope Scholarship program for all families to be eligible this after this session. Unlikely that anybody is going to be able to get behind those with things with the implementation having had the strain that it has in a growing program like Hope Scholarship. So it's unlikely they're going to be able to open all of that up right now. Many lawmakers have said that they feel like it could be irresponsible to just open that up to all families until we really have a good footing under that. Alongside that same point is a development from the West Virginia State Treasurer's Office just yesterday made public a request for proposals for vendors who are interested in being the program manager for the Hope Scholarship program. For the last 2 years, we've had Step Up for Students, an organization out of Florida that manages many of their ESAs programs, scholarship opportunities. And so they have been the program manager here in West Virginia. But just yesterday, the Treasurer's Office made public an RFP, and there are vendors who are going to be putting in bids. I think the close date on that is maybe March 15th. And so potentially for those of you who have had concerns about the Emma platform, the Step Up for Students call center, we've heard from many of you different concerns about the quality of customer service that you're getting and about the user experience within that portal. We've also heard from providers who have a hard time, many of our providers who've been trying for a year now to participate in the program. It looks like this could potentially happen sometime this summer and have a new program manager in that could possibly replace Step Up for Students. Who knows? Step Up for Students could also put in a proposal that would win and they could be staying in. But just want to make families aware that that has happened from the Treasurer's Office. And then lastly, I think my last thing that I wanted to cover is an announcement from the West Virginia Pew. If you are a Hope Scholarship family with an IIP student and you would like to have them take a standardized test for this 23-24 academic year for year end, and you would like to use your Hope dollars, you're in luck. We have approved services through the West Virginia Pew to get you access to Iowa Form E for kindergarten through second. A consumable will be shipped directly to your house. You or the administrator of your choice will be the proctor for that assessment for the child. Again, kindergarten first and second. You would administer the test and then ship that back in to Seton Testing for grading. And then for third grade through 12th grade, we're going to have online registration that you'll be able to sign up for Stanford 10. Again, third grade through 12th grade, you'll be able to sign up all using your Hope dollars. So you'll sign up. We've got a process that we're going to be unleashing. Make sure you're subscribed to get that update, but you will now be able to use your Hope dollars to cover the cost of a standardized test. And this is just kind of in this season. We know that it's a need. Many families want to be able to do that. And so we were able to pull something off for you. That's all that I've got so far. If you're not already subscribed, we're going to drop that link in the comments so you can sign up to receive. I've got a thorough newsletter with a blog post with all of the ins and outs of Hope Scholarship applications, dual enrollment, all of the latest information for you, and then also a thorough legislative update with links to all of these different pieces of legislation that you can keep up with. If you've got any questions, let us know, and you guys have a great weekend.